The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Like I said, I've been gone for a while. It's just profound to me. I know this is probably boring for you. You know, there's been content every single day. It's just been posting online, and so it's like I've never left. But I've actually left you. I've left you for a month. Weird. It's weird when you think about that. I upload like 30, 40 videos at a time. I mean, this is a very different behavior that goes on here. It's one of the reasons why starting an online feud, and God knows people have tried and continue to try. People do it. It doesn't work well because I don't fight fair. I fight like I'll throw something out like some, half-ass comment out there that somebody will get all horny about and then do like a bunch of live streams like, I'm going to pick apart this comment. And then, but the problem is there's no response from me because there's 40 to 50 videos piled on top of that. It'd be like a month before I even get back to your angry video response. I'm just telling you, like, by all means, can keep at it. Do what you got to do. Every time this happens, I gain subs. But if you're gonna go at it, just know, like, no response is coming soon. Like you're dealing with like hell. I mean, when I throw some of these comments out, they were likely recorded like a month before they go out in public. So half the time people send me mail like, man, you're really pissed at this person. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That was like so long ago. It was last month or maybe further back. I just have no idea even what this, every now and then, like, can you explain why you're angry at that person? I'm like, no, I couldn't. Who are we talking about? Steve Orlando, most likely. Steve Orlando. Teeny Howard was the one who reached out. Anyway, so let's get to this mail. Here we go. We got a mail. First mail in like a month. All right, let's see if this was a strong one. Hey Perch, thank you for putting on your show. You need to ban mumbles. You need to ban mumbles. I'm not gonna ban. I'm not gonna ban mumbles, but please, new material. I'm begging you, new material, please. Anyway, back to mail. I see that some comments get deleted. No, comments generally don't get deleted. Very, very rarely do comments get deleted. I'll tell you the things that will cause me to delete a comment, but most of the time you're fighting YouTube. You're not fighting me. So for what it's worth, and let's see, how do I do this without tripping the algorithm? If you post a comment that discusses, let's say a particular illness that occurred from 2000 to 2002 and the remedies for said illness, you'll probably get deleted. Okay? If you post a comment aggressively talking about, let's say, social unrest between people who are angry at police, your comment will most likely get deleted by YouTube. All this stuff by YouTube. Okay? If you go really aggressively at the whole SJW, non-SJW, cuck, any of that kind of stuff, YouTube catches most of that. So you're fighting YouTube. The stuff I will delete is stuff that's just very, very rare. It is once in a blue moon. And by the way, some of you have said the post was there and then it was deleted. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I can't begin to explain what's going on there. But generally, the stuff that I delete, again, very rare, and it's stuff where people are blatantly making up shit that I say. So, for example, if you go on a long rant about how Perch is an apologist for CG or an apologist for woke, and you insert a bunch of stuff I don't say, I do delete that stuff. That's true. At some point, I'm like, all right, fuck off. I didn't used to, but now like I do. This stuff is just poison. Okay, you're making up shit. So, but generally, I leave the comment section alone. I don't mess with it. Again, YouTube messes with it plenty. About once every month or so, I go into deleted items and I uncheck things, and I release everything that isn't blatant racism or thoroughly offensive. People are talking about murdering other people. Like I'll like, okay, I'm not gonna but they're generally your comments go into a health section. Again, unless you're talking about the topics that I mentioned earlier, and then it just vanishes. I don't know where it went. And I've tried it myself, by the way. I've got into my own comment section and made some comment about, social unrest and the efficacy of medication for the 2000 issue that was occurring. And the post stayed up for like 5 minutes and then vanished into the ether. Never saw it, didn't go into hell. I don't know where it went. But anyway, that's what's going on. All right, back to this mail. But my real question, but we spent 5 minutes on this. But my real question, writes our mail, is why can't comic books be cheaper? It seems to me that because Marvel and DC are owned by megacorps that likely see most of the comics they publish as marketing, and they're willing to give away free marketing to movie theaters in the form of posters and other things, why can't comics be half the cost? If comics are already a loss leader, why not make it a full loss leader? I don't understand why the big corporations can't slash the price of comics. They should, they should be able to. Otherwise, it feels like they're just gouging an incredibly shrinking audience. Interested to hear your thoughts. Thank you for all you do. Okay, thanks. So why aren't comics cheaper? Well, first of all, even though Marvel and DC, I know this is true about Marvel, but it's safe to assume this is true about DC as well. Even though they are in theory part of a mega corporation, that they don't just have unlimited slush fund money to throw around. They're still rated a little bit on a P&L. The difference is that they're not expected to give off massive returns because their profit is gauged against inherent company value. So what that means is basically, if you're a corporation, you have a subsidiary, and you would want let's say 500% return on investment. I'm totally making these numbers nice and general for math's sake, but you want a 500% return on investment. Because generally, if you're investing in a subsidiary, you're looking for a growth business. Now, the exceptions to that rule are either net brand additive, which is really what Marvel is, or strategically valuable. Now, the strategically valuable would be, pardon me, if you're a medication company and you created a subsidiary to look into how to cure dementia, you would expect that subsidiary would lose money for who knows how long. Let's say 20 years. You would basically bake that into the model. Or let's say you're a company that produces I don't know, some kind of like batteries, right? Batteries are not a high margin business, but the risk would be that somebody else would enter the picture and be able to produce a cheaper battery. And because it's a commodity that everybody needs, there are companies that have subsidiaries that they are willing to have a profitable but not highly profitable return because they just want to own the shelf space. They want to own the category. They don't want to let somebody else in. And so there's those things. But Marvel is that first one. It's considered brand additive. So what that basically means is they still want the company to turn a profit. And despite what you might have heard on YouTube, Marvel and DC do turn a profit. They are in the green, not the red. That is a hard, cold fact. So every now and then I see a video like, they're in the red. They are not in the red. Both companies are actually producing revenue, but they're not producing 500% returns. They're producing a modest revenue. And that is discounted or that is weighted. And again, I can say this with 100% certainty at Marvel, because I know people in Disney finance who do the annual reports, and I know them on a first name basis, good friends. There is a multiplier done for subsidiary business like Marvel, which says, hey, you may be making 120% return on investment, but that we're writing that money down because we view it as seed material for the movies or other investments, merchandising, etc. So we call it it's a cost of doing business, a pay to play, we still want it to be profitable. We still want it to be green and not red in terms of the money that's coming in. But it's not we don't need it to put off 500% return. We needed to put off just a little bit of return, so it's a profitable business. And then we're going to really focus on how it's feeding the other businesses. And if you look at Marvel and you look at DC, a lot of the kind of corporate synergy efforts that have been given there is how do we utilize this material to our marketing and overall business advantage? That's what they're doing. And so in that world, yes, it's true. You could lower the price of comics. And to be fair, if you're the Marvel, business operating group, you could basically whack $1 off the comics, and the corporation probably isn't going to punish you. However, you're definitely your ability to be green and not red would drop. Your profit margin would still shrink. And if your profit margin shrinks, you're going to have to explain to deeper parts of the business why you're not more profitable. And right now, comics lives in this happy medium where they don't really have to answer those questions. Not to a large extent. There's still the finance guy comes around and still kind of measures their business and everything else, but it's not like it's not heavily monitored. It's not basically the subsidiary Marvel has to be clean enough that it doesn't trigger other behavior. It doesn't trigger finance wanting to come in and give a full anal probe about what the fuck's going on. Generally, the people at Marvel want to hold their jobs, keep their jobs, and just be able to kind of float around. Nobody at Marvel is thinking, oh, hot damn, I'm a staffer at Marvel, and, I'm trying to build up equity in stock, and if I do this comic really, really well, I'm going to get $1 million this year, a bonus. Nobody thinks that because they don't get that. Maybe if you're at the senior level of management, you're getting those bonuses. Disney execs do put out big bonuses for things, but usually those are more around kind of tangential parts of the business and not profit loss. But if you went to Marvel and said, hey, we're going to drop all the prices to $2.99, we're just going to, that's better for the market and everything else. The challenge is you'd be cutting your margin so thin that your business might tip into unprofitable. And then the odds of the corporation coming in and taking over and, whacking a bunch of the executives and just completely cleaning house would be high. So it's usually safer to just hold the line. And there's plenty of, examples, reasons, things that people say to at least suggest that is the right answer. There's not somebody out there like loudly pitching for the company to get wildly profitable. They're basically there to say, hey, let's put in the product, get them out on time, stay modestly profitable, and that we'll earn our current money and we'd be fine. That's how most people think. For those of you who are in the big two who aren't concerned as much with money, you may be there for kind of the cultural value. I get to work in comics, and that's cool. That's fine too. But in general, nobody believes the big two in particular can be massive revenue generating growth business. And so they're just not. They're not geared that way. They don't bother. And that's probably the biggest thing holding it back. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. And thanks for listening.